busy, booked, exhausted. Your inbox is screaming at you like a siren. Your calendar is still full. Still calling yourself visible and you're just the best kept secret? Turns out I was right there with you, my friend. Wasn't getting seen, was just the best kept secret. Wasn't getting heard, definitely, kind of getting paid. But here, the magic, my friend. It's a collaboration between Colleen Stubbs and Nicole Borghi. The Voice Lab on the school platform shows you how to use podcast spotlights, summit stages, and simplified, yeah, that's right, simple outreach systems so your visibility actually works. Get seen, get heard, join the free Voice Lab on the school platform, and you're going to get it all. Because if you're working this hard, someone else should know about it. Scan the QR code today.
All right. We're back for another juicy episode of the Voice Lab. All right. It's not dramatic. It's just live. Here we are. It's good to be here. And I am Nicole Borghi, your hostess with the mostest here today. And you know what? What is the Voice Lab about? We want to share, how to stop chasing visibility and start converting it. So that's our main theme here. And Voice Lab helps entrepreneurs turn visibility into real business growth, and too many business chase attention. And so we want to stop that and share with you those simple steps. And what are we getting into today? We are going to find some great information here today. Today on this episode of the Voice Lab, we are in number 25, and your leads are not the problem, your system is. And if you've had issues and feel like you don't have an aligned audience, nobody's picking up your lead magnet, we feel you, friends. And so we're going to share what the follow-up is, really, and pinpoint those conversations. When you get on camera, how do you pinpoint those conversations? What's the flow in that? What are you talking about? What's your call to action? We'll also get it up into follow-up. The fortunes in the follow-up and that automation in your CRM. So we're going to talk about all the fun stuff today to make your business simple, easy, and wonderful so you can set it, forget it, and move on flawlessly with your life. And you don't have to be working that back end all the time because you can get a bit crazy. And who am I? I am Nicole Borghi. I am the digital diva. I'm an event to scale visibility leader, and I show entrepreneurs how to work, how to leverage, how to fine-tune virtual events as a marketing machine. Because just like this right here, we're in the virtual space of the Webernet, and I build authority platforms that scale influence and revenue. So it's all about those podcasts. What are you doing? How are you monetizing? And all that great marketing. And so my cohort here, Colleen, my partner in crime, come on up.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Voice Lab. So who am I? I'm Colleen Stubbs, and I'm the founder of Simplified CEO Systems. I am also Nicole's right wing. Yay, I'm her co-pilot on all things fun and fancy. And so I bring the lead system to the Voice Lab. What does that mean? That means that once you are connected with Nicole and you are out there getting seen and heard, I'm going to help you continue that conversation in your back office. I'm going to teach you what to do with all the leads that you get from every speaking engagement and everywhere else. I'm going to show you how to really utilize those and how to turn those into your fortune and how to do it with clarity, with purpose, with integrity, and without losing your contacts.
Yeah, don't lose your contacts. You need that to make content. You need those contacts out there. And what are we doing today? So my screens, I am clearing some screens here, making sure that we are live everywhere and everywhere wonderful and who's watching. So don't forget, folks, help us move the needle and build this because we're giving you some valuable information that people don't always talk about. Or they make it so overly complicated. It's like the 1980s with MS-DOS where you had to program the programmer and you had to write that in there. Let me tell you, it's no fun. We were still using that in 2000 in the police department. Some of those back systems that we do background checks are very complicated, and you had to write it out to prompt it. Thank goodness Chat GPT is here to simplify our lives with AI. That's what Colleen and Nicole do every Tuesday, every Thursday. We also do that in the Voice Lab group. I'm going to share that information in here. Some great things are coming up, folks. I want to do some quick housekeeping. We're going to start sharing events, not only our events, my event, Colleen's events, and these wonderful master classes that are coming up. We have Laura's coming up just right around the corner. So I'm going to bring some of that information up here. And hers master class is called Boring Keeps You Broke. And Laura, what's great about her is she is fun, she's comedic, and she has acting experience, and she brings that into the master class. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fascinating. We want all things fun here. We got the fun bug. We want to make it fun. We want to bring those great conversations that we have, and all about camera techniques, and visibility for your clients, and building trust fast. And Colleen, you want to talk about your workshop is coming up.
I do. And I want to say that I absolutely love Laura. I'm so excited, looking forward to her masterclass. She is an actress and she is very talented, and she is great about helping you really present yourself well and do a good job with that. And in a way that stands out and sets you apart from everybody else who is also trying to present themselves. So I'm really looking forward to Laura's masterclass. My masterclass is from tech chaos to control. And so that's going to be Wednesday. That's tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So that is noon Eastern, and I can't do the rest of the math. So 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 45-minute time period that I have with you, and I'm going to teach you how to build a business that can actually run without you. Because let's be honest, none of us want to be the force that makes our business go all the time, right? It would be so nice to just set it and forget it, so to speak. Let it run on its own. Let it do its magic while you're out there doing the magic you do, which is getting on stages, getting seen, and getting heard. And I'm going to literally walk you through. This is a working masterclass. I'm going to walk you through how to simplify your business, how and when and what to automate, how, when, what to delegate, and to whom, and the things that you actually need to not automate and not delegate, because that's equally as important. You want to make sure that you're doing the things that actually need your personal touch on them. And so we're going to go over all of that in this masterclass. You're going to walk away with a clear path forward. You're going to know exactly which automations are most important to get started right away, which things you should completely simplify or delete out of your business, and then how you should delegate and to whom, especially if you're on a budget. That's one of the secret things that we talk about. We're also going to talk about really the magic of automation. There are a few tips and pointers that I love to give my clients that are really helpful in keeping that automation personal. And so, yeah, I'm excited to have you guys join me. That'll be this Wednesday. So tomorrow, April 1st, no joke, at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we also, this is something that we talk about a lot here on Voice Lab, because inside our Voice Lab school group, our point and purpose is to really help you get seen and heard in 2026. But it doesn't do you any good to get on a stage, get out there, share your message, and then go take a siesta, right? Unless, of
I
course,
love me a good siesta and a fiesta
okay, all right,
and
Nicole, I'll
tacos.
take you there. You can have one, but you have to have your automations in place first.
All right.
Got to get those there. And don't forget that an important part of building these out is getting on these stages. We're going to talk about Nicole because she's actually like the party queen, the hostess with the mostest. And I love her pre-parties. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, having fun, but you get to have fun when you set it up. You get to have fun when you have an aligned audience and aligned speakers and people, your partners, who's collaborating with you, who's affiliating with you, and who's sharing their business with you. so your life can be smoother. That's what you do when you automate, delegate, and you're truly a leader. You're an authority in your business, and that's where this starts to come alive. And this is what Voice Lab is all catered to. We're bringing more master classes in here. We're bringing people that will be in here to support you, to support your business, and they're not going to escape or run away or ghost you in the future. So what we do is we're vetting people. They're actual members of our school group. And why is that? Because we want to bring those special people that are power partners that are going to be there to support.
Well,
That
and
is
let's just go
hilarious.
back and visit. So yesterday, I also have a podcast, Monday Morning Business Foreplay, and each week I bring you an expert in their field, and they bring you a tool, a tip, a strategy, a resource that helps you simplify your business and scale. And so yesterday, my guest was Jenny Trask, and I love what Jenny said. She put all of her eggs in the podcasting basket. And all she does to build her business is podcast speaking engagements. That is what she does to build her business. And so all of the leads, she really went over and taught us what to do with the leads, how to get them, and really how many leads you can get from just getting seen and heard. It's an amazing amount of leads. And she helps people in her coaching program to get on 2 podcasts a week. So that's 100 podcasts a year. That is a lot. And she asked yesterday, one of the questions she asked was, have you been on more than 50 podcasts? And I was like, no. And then I'm like, what am I thinking? I've had my own podcast for over a year. Clearly, I have been. I
It
didn't.
counts. It counts. You got to count yourself in.
It does. And I was actually just thinking of everybody else's podcast. But I love the way that she phrased that and said, she talked to us about lead magnet. She talked to us about how to direct people, how to do our call to action, and how to really take that experience and just build a business that way. Because for some people, if there's anybody else out there that's chatty besides just me, there might be. But this is a call to you. If your kindergarten report card said she's a nice girl, but she's chatty, this is for you. You need to listen to this, okay? Because you don't have to create all these little posts anymore. You don't have to do that. You can actually just get seen and heard and use your chatty little voice to grow your business. And I love that. That's like the news of the century for me because yeah, I would way
Well,
rather.
well, let's unpack that and have a deeper conversation, and that's what we're talking about today. The reason for this, folks, is that podcasting is a great way to network, to talk to people, to get your voice out there. And it's creating the SEO, the AEO. So that means the more podcast you're on, the more you share people's podcast. You don't want to just do a drive through. You want to share their podcast. You want to boost it. And further, you want to also create your lead magnet. You want it to be a lead magnet that people are going to get. I share the school, or I share a workshop. Why a workshop? Because people can come live, and that workshop is going to be there. It's going to be there if the podcast is live and current. And then you can also have maybe send your YouTube channel, send a playlist, right? Or there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. If it's a PDF, make sure that it's going to be evergreen and it's going to be there a few months down the road. You never know when people are going to hear the podcast. People listen to the podcast when they work out. People listen to the podcast when they're on walks. And sometimes if you're doing research and you find somebody, like I got on this thing with Thomas Town, I think his name is Thomas Townsend Brown. There's all this research. It's a bit woo, some military stuff going on, some energy, and a whole bunch of fun stuff, right? So I go down the rabbit hole. These podcasts I'm listening to are years old. So if I start to research, I want to have some links, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn. You want to have something that's current. And this is very important. And this is another reason people got away from Facebook, is nobody's updating their accounts, nobody's updating their links. You can't find anybody. There's groups that have 50,000 members in it. And then there's nothing going on for 3 to 5 years. And the reason I mention these groups too is that, and we're building this out. So you guys, this is a little sprinkle and a little teaser right here, is we'll start to have event pages where we're collaborating with other people's stages. We'll have event pages where we have podcasts, and tips on that, tricks on that. And because you're part of the group, you're going to get that list. You're part of the group, you're going to get vetted people that you know, that you can trust, that we can refer you to. And so we want to build the community and give you extra value. That is a tip, not just in our group, but a tip in other people's groups or other podcasting. You want to make sure that you're not just building a platform and nobody's going in there, nobody's engaging, there's nothing new. Remember, when you're in somebody's group, start to engage, be part of it. If you want to see that they bring you more value, make sure that you go in there, like, throw a quick comment in there, spend a few minutes, put that on your calendar, and come back. And you want to make sure to tag. So here's something else. When you're building alignment, make sure that you're tagging people in your posts that you know that are going to see you in the feed and that they remember you. I went to a post this morning, and why is this important with podcasting? Well, I have a summit coming up, right? So I'm podcasting with people and I'm on the stage, whether it's podcasting or speaking on a summit. You want to make sure that you're tagging people. I happened to see this post this morning scrolling through LinkedIn, and luckily they tagged me. So it was in my feed. So I knew about it so I can find it. If this person didn't tag me, it would have sat there for 3 weeks and I wouldn't have known to respond because we get so deep in it. Here's another quick tip. Share it in people in your DM. If you're going to tag somebody in a post, maybe you should share it in the DM and say, hey, can you go ahead and comment? This post is about you. Make sure it's about them and that you're partnering. This is marketing. It's all for free. And when you have an event or when you're on someone's stage, you want to share that and you want to edify them in your posting, in your emails, share about the cool person. You had somebody on your podcast, Colleen, that does this in a newsletter. Hey, I want to meet you, right? So we're building community and we're advertising.
Yeah, so Billy Salmon sends out in his newsletter each week, he sends out, hey, you should get to know this person. Here's a great intro for you, and connects you with somebody new each week. And I really appreciate that. And he's great at that. He's a great connector and great at marketing. He is the founder of Live Local Marketing. And so when it comes to marketing, Nicole, for me, the simplest way, like I've hired people to do Facebook ads. It wasn't that great. A lot of clicks, not a lot of ROI on it, right? And so if you can use your own voice to market yourself, and if you can do it on an aligned platform and an interactive platform, that is a huge win. And so when you go on Nicole's stage, for instance, she always has a pre-party or a speaker panel, she calls it. I call it a pre-party. But you go in and all the speakers are there and we get to know each other. And she asks questions of us. They're not got you questions. They're questions pertaining to your business and in your presentation. And you get to know people. That's the pre-party. Right? Now we're not nervous when we go in to the summit, right? And we're going to speak on the summit. But even during the summit, Nicole is so good about saying, hey, do you want this to be interview style? Do you have questions you want me to ask you? All of the things. And then even after any presentation, whether it's interview style or it's just your own presentation that you do, she opens it up for Q&A. And what's the magic in that? Who cares? Well, I'll tell you why we care. We care because once it's open for Q&A, it's like opening the floodgates to building relationships, right? Now you are in a room where people can ask you questions about what you just presented. Maybe they didn't hear it the same way that you said it, or maybe they need more clarification. Maybe they just want to know more information. But that is conversation starters. It's like adding lint to your campfire, right? It really just gives it the spark and lets it go boom. So it starts burning more and starts becoming a relationship so that when you leave the summit, when it's all done, and don't leave right after your presentation, I'll just say that you're supposed to support your summit hostess and all of the other speakers by staying and engaging. But after the summit is over, you can go back to your lead magnet or your landing page. You can go back to your CRM. You know, I know this, Nicole. You can go back to your CRM, to your automation, to your workflow, and you can take the questions and the things that were discussed, and you can personalize your emails a little bit more based on the questions that were asked and the interest that came up during your actual presentation and during the Q&A afterwards. And so you can personalize those a little bit more, which is huge. Now, these are people who signed up to get your email, right? They came in and they said, hey, I want to come to the summit. Hey, I'm interested in talking to you. And then, so don't take the siesta.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we're talking about this, and great point on the summits, you do support people. If I have a tight schedule and it's a summit, and sometimes people miss speakers, so I'll jump in, because if somebody hands you the mic, you should really grab it and take it. So it sometimes someone's like, hey, in a week I lost a speaker, can you come in? And I'll say, hey, I've got this short window of time. What I do is I'll come in at least a half hour to an hour before, and a half hour, stay an hour or so later. So I'll at least block a 3 hour time limit if I can redo the schedule, but I let the host know and then invite the host onto my stage if they've given me a stage. And this is a great way, if you're talking, you want to do an exchange, and this is really a great way to collaborate and give people a stage as well. And then support them. You want to absolutely support. You're not only supporting the hostess or the host of the stage, support the community. And a big problem, a big pain point right now for people is that, hey, we can't keep people in the room. And it's a little bit more than the speaker, or maybe something that people know, or it's not something new. It's not necessarily that. It could be a very powerful, very meaningful talk where you're still going to get some takeaways. So let's go in with that kind of creative, fresh brain. What can I learn today from this speaker? One, and two, am I supporting the community?
Yeah.
If you are not staying there to support the community, if you're not staying there to support the other speakers will not want to talk to you, get on your schedule, or have you get on their schedule. There'll be a disinterest in there. So if you're wondering why people aren't interested in you, those speakers and the host are very powerful, whether it's a podcast, a summit, any type of virtual event. Why? Because these people are aligned with you. And 9 times out of 10, your clients are the other speakers,
So Nicole,
because they need your stuff.
let's see if the math is mathing this morning. All about math. So let's do the math. Let's say that I get how many, let's ask you this. On average, how many speakers do you have in a summit?
So the speakers, at least it's going to be 10 speakers. So there's a
Okay.
variable there. So you're going to have anywhere between 10 and 20 speakers. So if it's a 3-day summit, let's say an average of about, yeah, you're going to have about 12 speakers,
Okay, I'm going to go
depending
with
on
10
that.
because the math is easier than
Yeah,
10.
yeah, okay.
And so let's just say that everybody has a small email list, and let's say that they have 300 people on their email list. So now I am in front of 3,000 connections because everybody's going to email the summit to their list, right? That's 3,000. Then I'm also going to go get on their podcast, and they're going to come get on my podcast afterwards. And so now the magic in that math is this. How many touch points do you need with people before they reach out and start communicating with you, before they understand your product, before they dive into your product or your service? How many touch points do you need? Well, here we go with the touch points. That's the magic in this. Because yes, you've already been in front of, let's say Nicole's the speaker. And so she's already taken the summit and shared it with her 300 people. So they already know me. They're aware of who I am. That summit information has been shared with them already. Now I'm going to get on our podcast. That's my second touch point. Let's say that they do Q&A in the summit. That's a third touch point. Now let's say that she comes and gets on my podcast. That's 4 touch points right there. That's the magic of the math, is where you're going back to these people and using that back and forth with each other to really build up the touch points, to build the relationship. What is a touch point? It's relationship building. It's the steps that you step on to get into somebody's home, right? And so you need those. You need all of those, as many as you can get. Now, I think Jenny was saying yesterday that she likes to do, have her clients get on 2 podcasts a week. And I think that that's really good. I like getting on summits. And so we do my podcast, and then 2 Voice Lab podcasts, so 3 a week. And then for the next 3 weeks, I have a summit every week as well. And so the more that you can get out there, this becomes your marketing strategy. I hope that you're seeing this and understanding this. But when you simplify your marketing, when you get out there and you're on the summits and you get the recording back from your summit and you take your recording and you go plug it into Riverside and it makes you shorts off of it, that becomes your content. That becomes your content, right? And what happens when you talk to somebody about something one time and then you talk to them about it the second time and the third time? Each time you talk about it, it comes out a little bit differently, right? You maybe focus on a different part of it a little bit more, or you say it in a different way that resonates with somebody else, right? It's the same thing. So if there are 10 speakers on Nicole Summit, I am one of them, and I go get on 4 other podcasts, I'm going to get back 4 recordings that I can take clips off, and all the clips are going to be a little bit different. And that is my content. That becomes my content. No more struggling with putting my thoughts into words in a caption for a social media post, spending hours trying to articulate that correctly when I can just speak and share the value of my business from my heart. And then it comes back in a clip, and you can share that clip. They're 30-second to 90-second clips usually. You can share those as your post on social media. You can add them in your newsletters. You can share them in emails. You can refer people to them. But wow, what a lot of content you have just from one summit. You're muted.
Right. Yeah, I had to remute it because the lawnmower was coming by. So I don't know, can you hear that in the background?
Yep, a little bit.
Okay. So we're gonna play this video in a second. I'm gonna let you go ahead, Colleen, for another minute because he's gonna pass by here.
Going to be buzzing away. So I hope that makes sense. If you are in the comments, if you're listening to us live, drop any questions that you have there. And then understand too that when you come into the Voice Lab, this is scary. We get it. I was born talking probably, but I was not born on a podcast or a summit. And so this has been something that I've had to learn. But really, the key points to doing that is to make sure you're in alignment with the hostess and the other speakers in the theme. Make sure that you're getting on the right podcast, right? Like, I'm not going to go get on a podcast about lawnmowers because
No, unless you're doing a farm podcast, maybe, right?
we have
Or an
lawnmowers, but
estate.
even then, I would have my husband do the lawnmower.
Right. So, but here's the thing. We're gonna watch this video here, and it's Boomerang US, and he's talking about Alex Hermosi's $100 million leads book and the follow-up. And this is a very simple clip. And guess what? Just like Colleen said, take the clip and use it as content. So I will bring that up right.
There's one thing you can't skip, the follow-up. Hermosi says it best. If you don't have a follow-up system, you're leaving money on the table. Here's his process. He tracks every lead in a CRM like HubSpot or Pipedrive. He builds automated follow-up sequences. And he makes sure every prospect gets at least 5 to 7 touch points. One of Hermosi's favorite follow-up messages sounds like this. Hey, we just helped a business like yours land 200 new leads in 30 days. Want me to send over the case study? Simple, direct, and value focused. There's one thing.
How easy is that? Simple, direct, and value focused. That was it. So just think, not only is that great, hey, great point, but the other thing is that it's simple, it's direct. And third, this is a clip, just like Colleen was talking about. This is a clip from a larger video. So how many clips can you get out of it? How direct can you be? And taking that and sharing that. So if you are on someone's podcast or you have a podcast and you're sharing it, do this simple touch points. Don't get crazy. At least have 3 to start, right? You can do your text. And if you do something like go high level or work with Colleen in that, you can have texting is in there. You could do your email, you could do your workflow. Why is this important? Because when you go to this stage, first of all, make sure you're presentable. You're turning on the camera. You know what? And secondly, make sure the dogs and the kids and everybody that's going to scream is away. Can't help it with the lawnmower, but be able to pivot in a second and say, hey, there's noise, and pass the mic, right? So understand that there's this thing we used to call a cough button too. So make sure that you are paying attention to what's going on and what's going on in your area, especially if you're going live. If you pre-record it, you can change it when you're live. Also, make sure that you have that pre-conversation with your host. You know, what equipment are you using? How are you showing up? Know if it's StreamYard, it's gonna take a lot of gumption from your poor little computer. You're gonna have to crank it up and get the steam going, because it's gonna take a lot from the graphics. Something in Zoom is easier to use. If you want pointers on this, absolutely. Come to the workshops. This is what I show people all the time. There's some more workshops coming up. There's some master classes coming up. And this is what the community is about. Understanding how to target, use it as marketing. When you show up and you're prepared and you have some type of camaraderie with the host, then you're going to have a great conversation. If you've really never met that person and you don't know them, go to their LinkedIn page, go to their Facebook page, go to their website, watch their videos, get to know how they're going to talk to you, how they engage with people. Why is this so important? Because you want to have a wonderful, enthusiastic conversation. You want to feel prepared. You want to be a great leader, build authority, influence your audience and their audience, because you don't know what their email list is. Maybe you got 3,000, maybe they have 10,000 people on their email list. And you get to be part of that. That's the sharing. And sometimes that's why you pay to play, because that's a marketing budget that you're sharing. And are you getting leads? And in that, then there's the follow-up. But also remember, let's also be kind to everybody. I just want to remind people, when you're a guest on someone else's stage, you're the guest. So support the host the best you can. If they ask a question that you don't understand or that you don't want to answer, just politely decline or pivot the answer in the conversation. Be professional. Don't put them down. Don't tell them they're wrong. No, you're wrong, right? If you're not having a debate and you're not comfortable with that person, let's say, I like to look at it this way. So let's pivot the way we answer our questions. What is the dialogue? And part of your practice is not only just getting on podcasts. So if you want to get on a few free podcasts and get to kind of know how to work with people, what your thought process is going into it, what their thought process is going into it, do some research. You should be doing research for your one-to-one calls anyway, and get to know that person so you can know where you want that conversation to evolve. And then have a great call to action, which is your lead magnet. Come to this event, get my lead magnet, and talk about it. Do talk about that in the conversation. Hey, Colleen, I've got this lead magnet. I've got this great website I'd love people to go to, or I have a workshop coming up and I'll share that. I'd love to share that with your audience later and share with them, how they can solve for A, B, and C problem, how they can solve for generating leads. And I'll share that later. So you're kind of sprinkling that into the conversation. And the last thing I'll say here is your lead magnet should have everything not only to do with your business, but it definitely should have something to do with the conversation you're having, so that people can align and they know what they're looking for. Because if you're talking about building a wooden deck, you don't want to share a lead magnet about puppies and kittens, because they don't have any correlation, and people won't understand. They're confused. So make sure that everything flows, and then it's going to flow in your workflow. People are going to throw their emails at you, and they're going to know that they can connect with you and you've got the solution to their problem.
And so let's talk about that just a little bit more, Nicole, because I have many things that could be a lead magnet. For instance, I have a healthy routine planner, right? Which has nothing to do with Simplified CEO Systems, which is my business. However, I have that for when my clients get overwhelmed. I have few other little things that I can pass off to them as bonuses that will help them in situations they come up with in their business, right? And so if you create a lead magnet that is number one, always evergreen, which Nicole did touch on, but number two is part of the foundation of your business. So for me, that looks like I have a checklist. It's a PDF checklist. I think it's 2 pages long of what you need to know to simplify, to automate, and to delegate inside your business. This is the core premise of what I teach all the time. How to simplify your business, how to set your automations, what to automate, when to automate, delegations, what should be delegated to who, and at what price point, and should it even be delegated, or is it something you should do, right? These are really basic, but anytime that I'm speaking, I can drop that in the chat so people can grab it and we can go through it together. They can follow right along anytime I'm speaking through that and really see those things. Now, I also offer, if they want to get on a one-on-one call, we can walk through it together specific to their business instead of just the general way that I speak about it. Now, let's go back to being evergreen. I've hosted my podcast for over a year and a half, and every time that I have a guest, I have them bring an evergreen lead magnet they can share. Last year, I had 4 different people who did not keep their lead magnet evergreen. How do I know this? I didn't go back through everybody's stuff. No, but I had people reach out to me and say, hey, I'm trying to reach out to so and so through their lead magnet, and the link is broken. I'm like, the link's not broken. They took it down, and I would reach out to them and say, okay, let's revisit what evergreen is. Evergreen means that it stays green or pertinent all year round, so all of the time. Because like Nicole said, people can come back years later and listen to that podcast and grab your lead magnet. And so there's a lot of weight in your lead magnet. It's important that it goes with your call to action anytime you're speaking, that it's foundational to your business, and that it is evergreen. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have
No, absolutely. Don't complicate things.
No.
And just I have had, as an example, I have been on stages in January and it's March, and I still go back into my Thrive Card account where I keep my lead magnets so I can get and get those leads and those emails. But I go back and somebody got my lead magnet. Now I'm gonna way cool. I've had that for probably a year. I'm going to start to change that. Maybe you need to update it. Maybe you need to update the websites and the connection. Things may change. And if you can change that, if someone is working and like Colleen said, she reached back to that guest. And that's why you want a stage host that's going to do that. And if you participate and you give a quality interview, you give a fantastic interview, and people are engaged and they can go back, that host will reach out to you. If it was not a great connection, what's going to happen? That host is probably not going to reach out to you. That host is not going to reach out to you. Let's also pivot into, here's one thing I would love, I really want to share right now that I was just thinking about, is that if you're podcasting, know that you're just not going to podcast for 2 days and then you're going to disappear and then maybe podcast again. This is if you're in someone's group, or if you're you pay to play on a stage, there is probably a bigger chance, even if you are a strong referral or a power partner or clients, and if you look into a deeper lasting relationship, and you probably network with these people and you get to know that group of people, that core group of people will be there tomorrow. Yes, you may just be starting out in a podcast and you've been in business for a few years, or you've been in business for a while. Maybe this is a new business, but you've been an entrepreneur for quite a while. You do want to know that as a podcast host, that you want to stay. It's a long game. Things happen, sometimes they disappear, but just like your avatar, just like your client, you want to know who your ideal client is, who you identify with, and who you're working with. And Be a good stage host and stay the long game. Plan for the year. What does this look like? How long am I going to be out there? You may have to pivot the style of podcasting you do, and that's okay. There's some changes, just like your lead magnet. After a year, it may change. You may develop in your business, but know that you want to be there tomorrow. And so, friends, if you're looking at free stages, if you're looking at just getting on everybody's free stage, no matter what their audience or their outreach is, that may be what you should consider. That they might not be there tomorrow. So understand that sometimes paying to play, that's why, because it's marketing, it's longevity, it takes time. So there's administration that goes on, there's some fees that may have to be exchanged because you want someone there. There's people that have been doing their podcast for 13 years. It's a small audience, but it's a very strong group. So how are you influencing and where are you going to be tomorrow?
Yeah, I love that. And I will say too that as a podcast guest, if you build a good relationship with your host or hostess, make sure that you're not get on their podcast and then dash, right? You want to stay in that room because they may have you back. I was just thinking that there are at least 3 people that were guests on my podcast in the last 15 months more than one time. So either there was a pivot in their business or they had something different to present, or we came back around to that topic, something like that, where I use the same guest again. And so it's always good to have that. Now, let's talk about how this can be beneficial in your business just a little bit more too. When you are having guest speakers on your podcast that are professional, let me tell you the first time that I held my podcast. And it always happens to me. Why is it always happens to me? But I lost my voice the day before. And so I reached out to my guest and I said, hey, we're going to have to postpone this because I don't have my voice. And she was such a gracious guest. And she said, you know what? I've done hundreds of these. Not a big deal. I got you. Just be present and I'll go ahead and just run the show. You just show up. So that was so good because for me, as an entrepreneur, I want to make sure that I stand behind my word. And I said I would be starting January 5th, and I wanted to be there to do that. And so she really helped me that way. And then also just make sure that you know ahead of time what to expect, because I have been on podcasts where they don't give you the recording or where they say, here's a collaboration link and that's it, but you can't get your clips from it. And so you really want to make sure what that looks like, or maybe they charge for the recording, or maybe they charge for the stage presence. And if they do, what also is expected of you? Do not forget to follow through on the things that you commit to doing as a guest, such as sharing this in your social media posts that you're going to be on the podcast, sharing it in your email or your newsletter, and really boosting the hostess, as Nicole had touched on earlier. There's just some real etiquette that goes around podcasting, but I think overall it's a lot easier than going and creating content all the time, because this is created for you when you're just sharing something you're passionate about.
Yes. And folks, if you join the Voice Lab, I know another shameless plug, but that's what this podcast is about. You get to come on podcasts. You get to learn about the events ahead of time, speaker on the stage. So there is a 7-day free trial. If you want to do master classes and you have something, we can definitely talk and would love to share your experience, your expertise, your leadership, and build the authority with you and share you with our group. So also your stages, and we'll be sharing more stages. And if you sign up in the Voice Lab, you're not only getting these workshops, these master classes, you hear about everything first, but you also get one-to-one calls with Colleen and myself, and you get to be on the stage. So you get those summits, and the value of that is the leads. I am 100% into leads. If you want to generate leads, get on the stage. Let's talk. You can build your list. And I don't just mean 2, whatever you get. So we're in a sharing, we're in a collaboration, and that is absolutely what we're looking at doing. So I think we pretty much covered a lot today. Is there anything else? I mean, we've definitely talked about being in your zone, showing up on the stage, giving quality quality conversations, fun conversations, and just take a breath and know, hey, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm open. Guide me. Let's go. Be in the moment. Share the podcast, share the events, stay for a while, get to know people, support the community, because if you want support, you've got to support and engage other people. Is there anything we've missed?
I don't think so. I think that, we also talked a little bit about what to do with your leads. And so your leads should go into an automated workflow. The trigger on that should be attended, is usually how I do it, or registered, right? And so then they get tagged immediately. And then as soon as it starts, then they'll get an email, they'll get a text, whatever that looks like on your end. But you're going to want to build out that 4 to 6 touch points through your email, and make sure that after your speaking engagement, you go back in there and make sure that those are all personalized a little bit with the exact experience that you had in the speaking engagement, because not every speaking engagement is going to be the same. Now, you're probably thinking this is a lot of work, like to create all these things every time, but it actually isn't, because it can be cloned and edited each time. And it just takes a matter of minutes to do that. And that is the magic that I share inside Voice Lab. I think this is great, Nicole. What are we talking about Thursday?
So what we've got here is follow-up frequency miss. Ooh. All right. So we're going to talk about the frequency of the follow-up and knowing your audience, being aligned with your audience. Your audience has gifted you with the most magical thing of their email. And sometimes it's bonus value because they've given you the phone number. So how do you want those conversations to go? How are you planning that out? And how does that correlate, not only the newsletter, but with your follow-up? Some people say you send out too much, and some people say you don't send out enough. So what is it for you? So we're going to bust those myths on that and how that works. And also, we're going to talk about stage strategy, expectations that you're going to set during your talk and your call to action, because you're always seeding the what's next. And that's valuable not only for your talk, whether it's 15 minutes, 30, 45 as a keynote and more. What are you seeding? Because we want you to be able to plug your business. And that's where we fully support you on this Voice Lab podcast, is because we know that your time is valuable. You should value yourself, show up, shout out, and definitely have a call to action.
All righty, Nicole, this has been great.
All right, guys. Bye-bye, bye-bye. We will see you Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, 9 Central, and then a whole bunch